probably choked with dread for the fear of the unknown. And I thought, oh, what in God's world did I got myself into now? Now that was my first breath. My second breath, that's when I smelled the tanneries and the urine and the stinky old fish. And I thought, oh, what in God's world did I got myself into now? Well then, Captain McDougall approached me. He says, you know, you might want to freshen up a bit before you meet your new master. So I found some water that wasn't too muddy, and I washed up the bits that showed, and I was ready to present myself. And when we got on the shore, I met Mr. John Chalmers, baker of Annapolis, who specialized in ship's bread. His bakery's right at the foot of Church Street, right by the shore. Well, I went off with Mr. Chalmers and I met my mistress and their 4 children. And it turns out my duties would be work in the bakery, do the books, come back to the house, take care of the children, take care of the animals, you know, the cow, the pig, the chickens, and so on. And any other thing that the mistress had for me. I thought I could do this. Well, you see, I was really one of the very, very lucky ones, because my master and my mistress, they never beat me even once. Of course, I would never give them a reason to, but you know, that didn't stop the masters of some of the other folks that came over on the ship with me. As a matter of fact, their masters would whip them, not just beat, but whip them for the slightest reason. And then, within the first 2 years of us arriving, about nearly half of them died. I heard it was from something called seasoning. But I reckon different food, different climate, they'd been sick, and with the beatings and hard labor, well, they never ran a chance. No. Now, when my 4 years was up, I didn't want to be too far away, you know? I mean, the family had now grown to children numbered 8. Big family, but they all thought of me as like a dear old auntie by this time. And they was the only family that I had. So, when my 5 years was up, Mr. Chalmers kept me on at the bakery and paid me a living wage, a decent wage. And I moved into an house, I rented an house with 3 other women. The house is on Pinckney Street, right up from Middleton's Tavern. Well, here we are. My 3 housemates is Lizzie. She's a ratner. In case you don't know what that is, it's a person who catches rats. And in a town like Annapolis, with all the taverns and all the inns, that's a very good profession to be in. The other lady, that's Linny. She's a fruitistaire. Now, she has fruit grown that she sells all over town. And as a matter of fact, that's very, very good to keep your humours in balance. And then there's the other Nan. Well, the other Nan, you know, she's an and woman. And an and woman is, you ladies of the gentry might think of her as as a personal servant out for rent. She helps ladies of the gentry with their clothes and with their cosmetics and fixing their hair. And not only that, but she is an excellent midwife. So if any of you ladies is ever in need, you just send a word down to the bakery and we'll fix you right up. Oh, yes, and every now and then, you see, Nan's got a brother he's a woodsman, he's a trapper, he's a frontiersman. And whenever Scout William comes in with all his hides, when he comes to town, he always stays at the house with us and regales us with tales of what goes on in the wilderness. And one more thing, I've learned that I've got quite an aim for herbal remedies. You see, I've got this friend Cook, and she works for Master William Pager, who has a wonderful garden with a beautiful physic garden in it. But his kitchen ain't got no oven. So whenever Cook has anything to bake, she sends it to the bakery, and I make a point to always bring it back. Always with a little extra something in there for Cook, just a little something. And she always lets me then slip out into the physic garden, where I go and trims and shapes the herbs to keep them healthy, you know. And I takes away the debris, and that's what I use to make the potions and possets and poultices for the poor. So, let's see, here I am. I'm 54 years old. I'm still unmarried, as you can see by my shift strings showing. I live with 3 other women, and I'm doing the best work I could ever want to do. So if I was to sum up my life, I'd say, still looking and still hopeful. Just the first part. Now you get to hear